All right, well, stop what you're doing and tune in from coast to coast. It's the Howard Hour with your host with the most.
Yo, what's good? What's good? It was good. It's your boy HT. How is 702? Let's get tripping like a kid untied shoes. You see the vibe and you see the move. You see it's Friday night and you know what that means. It's the Hour Live, and it's something that has to be seen, folks. Yes, yes, yes. We made it to another end of another wonderful week. I don't know if you completed your goals or if you have to do a reset, but folks, you made it to the end of the week, and that is something that is sweet. You feel me? But not even as that, folks. With this week and everything, man, we've been seeing, I told you like last week, we've been seeing school and everything start up. We've been seeing a lot of stuff wind down, but also too, we've been seeing a lot of stuff been getting up in the air. And I don't know about this up in the air, but we had the DNC go on this week, folks. I don't know if you're all into politics and all this and that, but I'm telling you this now. Get out there and vote. I'm not telling you who to vote for, but I'm telling you, get out there and vote. Your vote do matter, your voice do matter, and you do matter. So go and do that. But yes, folks, we had the DNC going on this week, man, and it was a star-studded event. Not just from a lot of politicians and big names in the politician games that was there, just like a VP nominee Tim Watts. We have Miss Kamala Harris was there, man. She did a wonderful speech, folks, to declare her nomination for president of the United States. But also, we had a star-studded event. We had greats like Anthony Anderson, Patti LaBelle was in the building. Yes, folks, she threw it down. Little John was around, man. Rosie O'Dawson, man. We had Hank Malloy, hey, folks. We had everybody out there, man, just to show support. And not even just that, give the word out to vote, vote, vote. And folks, the time is coming. The time is coming. So yes, this November, make sure before even then, make sure you're registered to vote in your local county, town, or whatever that's around us. Make sure, hey, that you have that. But man, get it on, folks. We got with the whole crazy news and everything. I don't know if it's all nostalgic moves and everything we going on, but I don't know if y'all remember J Lo and Ben Affleck dating back in the day. I think they got married too, if I'm not mistaken. But yes, man, not wishing no bad luck, but yes, they end up having a divorce back in the day. We're calling it quits, folks. I think this is deja vu. Word just got in that Jennifer Lopez is filing for divorce from Ben Affleck. Yes, folks, this is something that's sad to see, and not even is that they gave it another chance at it around, and this is showing you, hey, this is not going to save it this time around. So we're seeing why the protector had enough, and we see that she ain't gonna be on that block no more. But no, anything but that, folks. we're keeping the thing on rolling. But that's even that those two people that's in life, so positive vibes and vibrations their way. We can sit here and laugh, we can sit here and joke, but we do not want to sit there and laugh at somebody's pain. You feel me? Because hey, love is love, and whatever degree that they show in the media, we do not know what's between the two. But not even as that, folks. We have with all this week, man, with this entertainment, we have tonight, man, The Crow. Yes, 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 folks. The Crow, man, is hitting theaters, man, and they're talking about it is really supposed to be something that is gonna be really seen. And not even is that we have a cast of like some familiar names like Bill Skarsgård. If I'm saying it right, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Bill Skarsgård. We have a producer Chris from Zoe Kravitz. And not even as that, man, the soundtrack that they have on there from Post Malone, he's on there with his track of his. They brought back a nostalgic feel that they say that The Crow this might be the reboot that is needed to really bring it back into, I guess how you say, into the stardom or into that light. But not even as that, folks. We're gonna go down to the tech realm. We're seeing a lot with this technology that's going on. If you don't know, it's called AI. AI is getting to the point, but like I said last week, they had a movie festival and they had a movie come out that they would show you that was all made from AI. It's getting to the point now, AI is making music video, folks. Yes, yes, yes. Music videos. You don't even have to sit here and have to a certain scenery or anything now, if you want to get to that certain hotspot. And I say this is scary and fascinating at the same time because we're about to see a lot of rappers faking the fake, and we're gonna really see it. And we're gonna really have to see it with AI now. But not even is that this is just really showing like a real merging of music with the metaverse, and not even just with the metaverse. It is really something that is. But yes, 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 folks. Sorry, I had to sneeze. Man, we getting on with this. We getting it on and rolling. Man, tonight. I always tell you about what to do in this space. You really have to innovate or you learn from it, or you do both. And a lot of people get away from that adaptation from doing both when we get into this field because it's fascination. With fascination, it comes with curiosity. Curiosity stares to a point that you do not want to sit there and have a focal mental to it that you have to feel like you have to learn. You have to feel like it's work, or you have to feel like that you have to put time into. That's the thing with when you have just with that. But when you have passion behind something, you see that this just don't become a job. You see that, hey, those long days, long nights of learning about a factor to either intervene with this platform that's growing is called structure. In order to sit there and learn and grow and thrive in this platform and make your own from that is called construction. And in order to sit there and have a platform that you're able to showcase that built from the fundamentals of what you learn in this vast space of technology. I said earlier, that's called innovate. And man, it is so amazing to really see this individual innovate in this space that we call the metaverse, but not even this metaverse, but what we call technology. Technology been around, folks, way before we came into play, and it's gonna be around way after we all gone. Shout out to Brainiac. Don't come yet. It's not 3,000 yet. But we, folks, steer away from technology at times because we feel like it gets too hard or we feel like it gets too scary. But not even is that we feel like it gets to a point that we're not forced to learn with it. If you have fun with it, you can learn with it. If you do it every day, you grow with it. And a lot of people, you steer away from that. But this individual that I'm bringing to the stage tonight really showcase you can input your value into this vast space of technology. And not even is that, you can learn so much input from this vast space of technology. And he showcased this a lot with his platform, even to building his own. So man, I'm gonna really have to really put some confetti in the air, not just from my end, but everybody that's in the crowd tonight for this individual that's coming to the stage. He's a CEO. He's a founder in his own mind, in his own state, and even on paper is showing. So he's not crazy with it, folks. No Albert Einstein, but he's a pioneer that is really in this thing that is rising, and thriving, folks. And I'm so glad to bring him to the stage tonight. So I really need y'all to throw some confetti in the air for the one, the only, Mr. Jose, the VR Tech. We getting him. Oh shit, we got him on the first try. Look, yeah. You just hop over the couch. You could step on it. I just paid it off today.
Fantastic. What's up?
How you doing? How you doing?
Doing great. Oh man, I am just I don't know how I can follow up with such an intro, but I'll definitely
Oh,
meet the expectations. What's up?
no, man, no, I thank you. I thank you so much again for coming through, man. No, and like I said, just every guest that comes up, that the intro for every guy, like, because again, your individuality to what brings to this platform is what tethers a whole million way beyond us, and we all have to have that special right. Because on this platform, if they want us to be together, is still to have that individuality at times to show, like, hey, these are the sparks that are making those lights. So yes, yes, yes.
No, most definitely. And I loved what you talked about accessibility and help and forgetting about the fear, because that's exactly what drove me to build my platform, right? And I guess I could quickly introduce myself to you and formalize that as into the audience. But my name is Jose Santiago, aka Jose the VR Tech, and I am what you call a virtual reality or XR or spatial computing, whatever you want to call it, specialist, right? I focus a lot more on the engineering and the support side of these amazing tools, right? Where there's people who are using the hardware for communication or for gaming or for learning. Everybody forgets that at the end of the day, there's going to be people who are going to be experiencing this for the very first time. I'm sure all of you guys who are wearing headsets right now, you remember the Quest 2 or the Quest 3 setup process, right? You remember that really cool video where you see the if it's the Quest 2, you'll probably see the lady with the tennis racket showing you, a quick little setup tutorial.
Put on your
And it's
headset
a great
like this.
experience, right? But think about that happening at scale when you have to rewatch that video 1,000 times, 500 times, right? Now you're
Mm.
setting up these headsets for students or for schools or for business that's adopting these headsets. You start thinking about all these processes. And that's my background. I come from a computing enthusiast background, so typical nerd, repairing computers, repairing laptops. um, Unfortunately, I'm a 90s kid, so that means that I was born a little bit too late for the 80s PC revolution. So I was kind of, I entered the yeah, I entered the PC repair guy business a little bit too late in the game, so there wasn't that much money in it anymore, and I unfortunately had to resort to the traditional, boring, IT support at a insurance company, and I was doing that, all the way through, immediately after high school, kind of waiting for, my North Star. And that happened in 2014. I was already an enthusiast, really on hobbyist websites. There was this, ironically, this website was called it still exists actually. It's called GBA Temp, which is a forums for enthusiasts and hardware modders, people that were, making cool hackeries with video game consoles. Um, and funny enough, this website had a rival forum called Mod Retro, and pretty much Mod Retro and GBA Temp were always, building communities that were competing against each other. And Mod Retro, I remember it was 2014. It was actually about 2012, actually. A post that started going viral and was by a very infamous person known by Palmer Luckey, talking about the original
Mm.
Oculus DK model. And I remember that post, it caught like wildfire, right? The enthusiast hackers were trying to figure out how to, do this with the components that were accessible at the time, which were, LCD components from mobile devices, cell phones. And that kind of, for me, was, love at first sight. I kind of almost, saw the future, saw 20, 30 years ahead at 2012. And I knew, what the future was going to look like, and I was already very very bored with the typical IT work that I was doing. And I started thinking, it's like, this is not what I want to do. And I knew that there was going to be something new coming, and I knew it was going to be virtual reality. And I started focusing on building infrastructure. Like, what does scale support look like? What does repairs look like? What does warranties, refurbishment? How do you keep hardware from, going to the trash bin? I've never liked collecting headsets just for the sake of it, right? Like, every single headset I have is like pretty much torn apart. And if I ever need one, I repair it back up, or whatever the matter. I believe in the value of reusing this hardware, right? Think about third
Hmm.
world markets, places that can't afford, a $900, $600, $500 headset. You can repurpose these, refurbish them. But unfortunately, being a student of the technology world, you quickly learn that, especially if you use cell phones, everybody who uses an iPhone device versus Android, the same arguments were going to be made with headsets where, yeah, you can do this, but you can't do that. We're going to start hearing about locked ecosystems. And for me, VR, I felt like I had the perfect opportunity. How do I have a say so as early as possible? How do I get people to know, like, hey, if your headset breaks, or if you're, whatever it may be with their headset, don't throw it out. Don't buy a new one. How to repurpose them, how to use them. And yeah, it's been a 7-year ride. Fortunately, my bet is proving right. Lots of everybody knows the success of the Quest 2 and the 3, and on the business side, HTC and Pico and all these cool companies are kind of popping up left and right. And yeah, kind of proving the value of teaching people about these technologies as early as possible.
Man, and that's like I was no like when I was saying about when we have like many conversations about with that, that shows about what you have to do on this format. You started with one plan of action, and it had to unflower to a whole blooming onion effect, if that
Yeah.
makes sense. And when I say to terms of like when it comes with passion too, you'll see like that drive behind it. Because how you're saying, like we all see that intention, like we're something that can have us mind blown, and as soon as you're mind blown, you're seeing the intention that this is gonna leave way beyond factors. That is a scary feeling at times, because then you're like, hold on, ain't nobody else is seeing this. Like you
Yeah.
don't you don't see that this could either take over the world. Like, hey, like, I mean, that's how I felt when I seen about computers on Terminator 2. And that's why I said, and that's why I chase, like that's what made me go to school about with finding out about with ECT and everything. Because watching the format, like, okay, hey, they say this is from a computing system that somebody made, that was man made at that took over. No, I have to learn about this. So I mean, to really see that fire behind it, it brings me to like one of my first questions with you. How did you see that you wanted to put that into a format of like bringing a structure to it? Because I see that it went beyond a curiosity factor, like with you. Like, was it like from a place of like boredom, or was it from a place of, okay, how
Oh
far can
man.
this go?
Well, I promise to be as honest and real with you.
Uh huh.
If you mentioned Terminator, and you mentioned the what drove you to get into computers. For many of us, it's survival, right?
Mm-hmm.
Survival of wanting to become somebody, wanting to build generational wealth. Being, like, as I mentioned, born a little bit too late to really become a financial value in my passions. For me, it was a lot of things, but I really kind of summarize it down to survival. I really, for me, loving what I do is very important. ADHD is a superpower, but only if you're doing something that you're passionate about, right? If
Message.
you're not, if you're not passionate about it, you're going to end up spiraling in circles. And I fortunately and unfortunately knew that a little bit too young, right? So from seeing my parents struggle. For
Mm.
me, it was computers. Moving to the United States very early, I saw kind of the walled garden, as we called it, right, which is the stepping stones that you kind of have to maneuver in order to get benefits. For example, in the United States, my parents had to learn, basic English in order for them to get on the computer, in order for them to, submit for food stamps and assistances, right? So kind of learning all these skills kind of immediately made me fall in love with technology. And as I mentioned, being able to see something that was so forward facing as virtual reality, I kind of, connect all the dots. I was like, oh, wait a minute, maybe not my generation, maybe not the one after me, but for sure the third generation after me, they're going to be dealing with similar situations, right? They're going to have to learn how to use virtual reality for, getting their eyes scanned for biometrics, right? Because that's probably going to be the most accessible form of health, of telehealth, right? Or education or training, right? Because let's be real, the planet unfortunately is getting hotter, no matter what anyone says, right? So eventually, schools are going to probably start rethinking how the communication is done. Maybe schools are going to be hybrid, as we saw a little bit during the pandemic. Maybe VR is going to become the key magic here, where there is like as I mentioned, stars aligning of education, immersion, and how do I get there? How do I selfishly survive and make this happen by building something that's going to be needed? And there's I don't remember who exactly made the quote, but it's something I live by. It's somebody's always going to need a little bit of help. You always need a little bit of help, right? So I built a company that focuses on helping.
And I mean, that's what I mean about, like, when I was saying earlier with your intro about with being an innovator. When you become an innovator, you don't look to innovate. And when you see that factor of, but you want to help, that's like that's the greatest. Like when you were saying earlier about the ADHD with being your superpower, when you have all these variables and everything in your head, because like I say, I feel like the environment is what makes that either that passion or so. Because how you say, like, a lot of stuff like we do see in our mind frame or in our eyes or whatever, we either have to sit, they either make us make a decision. Okay, we'd be like, okay, hey, we don't want to feel like that, or we want to go to an aspect. But then how you saying, to have certain components, like again, you coming around technology at the time, you also see that that's a barrier to either can help cripple. I mean, can either cripple to your parents' format, or you can sit there and be like, okay, hey, I can either sit there and learn this format to sit there and help. I mean, like how you say, learn it to help them. Hey, okay, figure out how to do this application, or get to this point like, hey, this is what we do with dial up. Or hey, you don't have to leave the phone off the hook all day, mom. Like, hey, get something like, hey, I mean, but it's only certain aspects that we only come around that I feel like can either enhance that passion or either sit there and dissipate from it. Because like how you ended that whole, like about with your whole like organization with it, you end up making a company from it. And that was like with my next question with you, how did that factor come about? Like once you start seeing that this is, I'm trying to put into words. I'm sorry, like, because this is good conversation. How did you see like this technology aspect was going to become a place of bore instead of, okay, hey, this is the new thing that's out. Like what did you see to make that establishment to know that this will be like a time but beyond us that more people will begin more fascination with it?
Oh man, that's a two-sided answer. First is selfishness. Right. One of my first exposures to the metaverse concept was a TV show called Reboot. And you can probably connect the dots now for the name of my company.
R.I.P. Reboot. Folks, that's
Reboot.
when
But
like,
yes.
it was all colors. The animation.
Yep.
I'm sorry, folks. The animation on there. Ooh, you need to check it out. Saturday morning cartoon days. Yeah, check it out.
Yep. CGI. I think it was the first CGI animated TV series. But the concept was there were video game characters, and in order for them to keep like the stability of this gaming matrix, they have to enter the challenges, which was, I guess, the games that were starting. And I was the first concept I fell in love with. After that was immediately Digimon. Um, Selfishly, once again, I wanted to live in that world. And me being bored with technology, well, not bored with technology, but rather doing boring work within technology and me wanting to get into the gaming industry. That's an inaccessible industry. I was living in the East Coast of New York, Buffalo, upstate. Really cold, not known for tech nerds up there. The gaming industry was very inaccessible to me, and I also had a different type of skills. As I mentioned, I really cared more about helping and using technology rather than building within it, right? I'm a big believer in building the roads and let other people build really cool cars, right? And that's kind of where
Oh, that
where
was a
the
bar. I like that.
I'm a little poetic, you know what I'm saying? But
Uh huh.
I that's really what drove me to make it happen, and is what confirmed it. If I will be honest with you, I was definitely very wrong when I started it. My first venture with Reboot Imagine, it was called Reboot Imagine Location Based Entertainment Services and Support. Location based entertainment, real quick, is essentially any kind of form of entertainment that you go out of your house for, right? So think of Chuck E. Cheese, bowling alleys, laser tag, interactive theme parks. That's all different forms of location based entertainment. And as virtual reality was starting, I there's one of the first industries that I can tell my parents about that invest in new technologies is entertainment. The other one being adult, and I was like, you know what? Let's focus on entertainment, and that's what I dedicated my interest towards building IT support for arcades or any kind of entertainment medium that was looking to adopt virtual reality. And I did get some early success with that from like about 2017, leading up all the way up to 2020. As you guys know, the 2020 kind of made it very difficult for people to go outside and spend a lot of money. It kind of killed the location-based entertainment industry. It's still recovering till this day. But fortunately, when I started this venture, I kind of knew, like, from a passionate enthusiast side, that was not going to be my final destination. I always knew that my goal is to help businesses, enterprise. You know what I mean? I want to help the schools, the university, the governments, the institutions that are really going to be taking advantage of this technology. But I have to start somewhere. So as 2020 started killing the location-based entertainment industry, um, a lot of stars started aligning for me. And at that time, I didn't feel like it was, to be quite honest with you. As I mentioned, I was incorrect on the on the bet on location-based entertainment taking off. So the business collapsed. Right, the investors that I had didn't, unfortunately, it felt to them like it wasn't a bet worth taking, and company died. One of the worst moments of my life, to be honest. But as that and as that world was dying, the world that we're connected right now started taking off. Horizon Worlds started really going into beta testing. VR chat started really taking off. Virtual reality started really becoming a center stage for communication. People were indoors a lot more now. The Meta Quest 1 sold very crazy, then leading up to the Meta Quest 2, and the that's where we are today, right? Fortunately, I had to restart from the ground up, but all that skills from that failed first attempt, I was able to kind of replicate it and hit the ground running, because now businesses and schools and everybody's interested in VR. So yeah, it's to answer shortly, it's being proven in real time right now. I don't know what tomorrow looks like,
No,
but I'm
bounce
excited.
back like a basketball. I mean,
There we go.
that's to have. I mean, sometimes again, we have to fall down to get back up into an aspect. It's just like crawling before walking, and we can see what elements to bring now to make that component bigger, better, and it lasts to a longer effect. And
Mhm.
big ups with that mind state with that, because many times we, like I was saying earlier, we can get deterred from from this situation, because we start off with one mindset, like, okay, hey, I can start off doing like this, doing that, or what's up, but then you're ending up with a whole different position. And that's the thing about with growth, and especially with growth in technology, it always just don't stay in one spot, but it always leads back to that same plug going into that going into that outlet. And I mean, I love that answer with that. Like, to really, you can have something destroyed, and just like the phoenix, something can have rise and risen from that. And man, again, that's what I mean, because that's what technology is. There's so many times we've seen technology what disbanded, especially how you're saying with the approach of like the helping aspect, because it's getting to the point now you're supposed to know how to use a phone now. Like, you don't see many aspects. Like, I asked my son the other day, like, hey, we're gonna get a house phone. Why? like, like, and like, I'm like, why? Like, I mean, it's something that's still needed. If the cell phone go out, we just use another phone. And but then it goes to the aspect of, like, we was having a conversation earlier. My son pulls out a DVD and he looks at it like it's a foreign object now, but it's something that, hold on, like, you don't know what a DVD is, and then like you like to see this is the difference. But then, like, when something becomes obsolete now, like, it's to the point DVDs, CDs, and everything are not even being sold no more, because it's it's to a factor everything is transitioning. And it brings us to, like, one of my next questions with you, with this transition and everything that's happening in technology. Do you feel like it's gonna take away that helping aspect from people still wanting to learn about it, or is it just gonna, like how you were saying earlier, it's just gonna be something that has to be implemented? Like, do you?
Yeah. I call it candy with the medicine, and I know exactly what you're asking me. Enthusiasm, right? What are the things that go back to your childhood memories, and think about the TV shows that got kids to learn, the education TV shows, right? The enthusiasm is very important. You gotta show love for the technology. You can't get people to embrace something like virtual reality by being scared or sounding fearful of the technology and be like, oh, but try this, or you don't want to sound like a salesman. And I think that's where I selfishly say this, and arrogantly so. I confidently feel that I'm the right person for this, right? Because I feel like where I come from, the understanding of having the flair, the culture, being Latino, you know what I mean. There's a lot of metrics there that allows you to empathize with people who, let's say, be afraid of trying something new like technology, right? It took me a long time to get my parents to embrace it, but that's the skill that you kind of learn, right? If I can get my grandmother in VR, I can get anybody in VR. You know what I mean? And that's what it's all about. It's learning how to leverage those skills. And as far as communication, and if I feel that we're going to lose the aspect of health, I think, to be quite honest, we're going to probably see an amplification of it, an evolution of what help looks like. We're already starting to see glimpses of that with the devices like the Apple Vision Pro, where they're showcasing things like collaborative share spaces where people are are sharing their desktop screen while somebody next to them, and they can point at their screen and immediately give them feedback at what they're doing. And just think of that being applied to x-rays or photography. I actually saw a case study about that there the other day, where somebody was using the MetaQuest 3's HDMI capture card with a digital SLR camera. So they had like the digital SLR camera on a feed while also having their hands able to make adjustments to the screen, and taking advantage of the color correction on the Quest 3 panels. And I that all these tools, when you really start thinking about them from a Lego piece perspective, the possibilities of connecting people to collaborate, communicate, ask for help, and be helped are going to be boundless. And I want to do whatever I can to accelerate that reality.
That's what I'm saying, man. It's like the Walt Disney don't even find the Mickey, and that's
Mhm.
that's what this is, like, the whole, like, I don't want to say the whole enchilada with it, but that's what I mean. That's what makes how you say, makes the passion grows more with it, because like how you were saying earlier, I like it will come to a point like where it'll be in more technology, more and more infrastructures, like how you say, more fields to grow in and everything. How you say, the medical field to certain military factors, and not even as that, certain factors to even helping the elderly. And I feel like it's to a point now, like how you were saying about with that simplification, I really feel like that will have to be implemented because it will become too overbearing to people. Like I know my dad, I had to like do drag a tooth and a nail to get him on this headset. But once he got on the headset, he's like, okay, oh, I'm seeing why you're on it. But then I'm like, I know they have some generations that are bone dry, just like, hey, I'm not gonna do change. Do you feel like that will be a not like a great opposing factor to technology, but do you feel like those naysayers that saying that technology is will always like not be with the evil aspect, like do you think, I mean, do you feel like it would be better to stay in certain places on an analog system?
I'm a big believer in you can't embrace the future if there's a lot of people left in the past. That's why infrastructure is very important to me. First and foremost, as I mentioned, my first love was computers and technology before virtual reality. I think a lot about bringing software applications, how to bring hardware into this spatial metaverse era that we're entering, right? We're already starting to see glimpses of that. For example, Apple, they call it that they call it spatial computing, and a lot of people still to this day don't really understand what that means. They think of virtual reality, but spatial computing actually is a much deeper concept. It's the Ready Player One world, but also becoming one with the real world. It's you putting on a headset in mixed reality and you stare at your TV and your TV turns on and now your TV screen's on your headset, but you also stare at the lights and the lights can turn on or off. You can control things. And all these devices are talking to each other. It's an evolution of home automation with AI, but you also have the virtual reality layer. All of these together in a bucket, you got spatial computing, which is, I call it, having the closest thing to having psychic powers or magic powers. And it's really the component about what's going to make all of this happen. And with that being said, eventually there's going to be a lot of people that, let's say, may not want to interact with putting on VR goggles, but they're going to still be spatial computing through maybe their mobile devices with AR glasses, or their TV is going to have, a connect like sensors where now your body's being tracked and you'll be able to do these similar experiences like we're doing now, from organic devices all talking to each other. Um, because the truth is there are still people to this day that are using flip phones from 30, 40 years ago, right? So
Hey man,
or
don't talk about my
devices.
uncle Leroy.
There we
He,
go.
he
Hey,
ain't talk,
listen,
he ain't
Leroy,
talking about you
I
too much, uncle.
respect.
Sit down, sit down.
But that's how it is, right? There's always going to be people like that. But I think as the technology gets cooler, more accessible, more magical, people will eventually lose that fear, and they'll start trying, and there'll be resources like the ones I'm building to for them to take advantage and learn. For us, my generation, I think a lot about Candy Crush or Farmville, right? That's really what got the older generations to kind of start, looking at Facebook. If there's any application to blame for the boomer majority on Facebook, it really is Farmville and all those games. But those are how, as I mentioned earlier, candy with the medicine, right? I generally believe VR does have candy with the medicine. I don't think we have seen that truly yet. I think that organic applications will come forward to or exist, but I kind of don't want everything to all come through at once, right? There's so much to build.
No, I mean that is something that's staying so, I mean, true to a factor of with evolution, because how this started off, it started off with all, like, again, a lot of people looked at it so like, oh, this is cartoonish, or this is this up into an aspect of, oh, this is this is not real. To like how you're saying, when it becomes to that augmented factor, like, oh well, I'm only gonna mess with this now if I feel like I can control it from a certain aspect of a third party resolution, or I want to feel like I'm having powers with this aspect of like when you build to that certain individuality. Do you feel like now, like you say earlier about with that infrastructure now, like that is that gonna like take away like a lot of, I mean, that's what I say with the hardware accessibility now. Like, do you feel like this is gonna be something now that again, everybody, I mean, not has to like learn about it, but is it gonna be like? Do you feel like this is gonna become like an overwhelming factor when it becomes open to like all hands? Because like I was saying earlier, I mean, I feel like I'm a comic book head. I feel like if the wrong hands get on it, it goes like Ultron. But I feel like again, like when you know you have like the individuals on who wants to learn with it, who wants again, like how you say, if they have problems with it, get to the accessibility of finding the right route. Do you feel like certain parties are going to take advantage of that?
Yes. Absolutely, always yes. That's the story of technology, right? There's always going to be somebody who's going to use this technology for good, and it's going to be for evil. In the engineering circles, that's a lot of the conversations that happen when you introduce new technologies. One of the quickest examples that I can give is the depth sensor, right? The sensor on the Quest 3, for example, that allows you to determine the depth of devices for you to create occlusion, where you can make the magic of having the virtual avatars behind your physical objects. In order for that hardware to exist, a lot of new red tapes were created and had to be figured out. These are very powerful light emitting technologies, so powerful that with the wrong optimizations and hackery, people can use them or exploit them to make technologies that, let's say, are accessible by the military, right? Like things that like could help people determine how many people are behind a wall, or on some cases even see through clothes. Um, so I think it's a careful tightrope of when you're innovating. It's understanding these technologies, building, a lot of laws and infrastructure, and as much as I love to allow developers and builders to have unfiltered access for these devices. I'm also very aware, too aware, unfortunately, of what they can do. Um, so to answer your question, yes, it's going to be a very scary world that we're going to enter, but at the same time, the benefits will outweigh those situations, right? I don't know if people play games like Cyberpunk or any VR esque, Ready Player One. There's always going to be really cool people who are going to do really good things, and there's always going to be, when the good always prevails at the end of the day, right? Because good usually tends to have the bigger numbers and the mass majority of people that support it, and it's up to us who are in this, the natives, right? We're the first generation who are, understanding what living in the metaverse looked like. So we definitely will have a say so on determining that it doesn't go bad and exploit.
A book I've been reading, again, it's talking about where you're making we're all making our own metaverse. And one of the first installments when they were talking about when you're seeing a metaverse about like, especially like with going way beyond of just being like the regular nerd format or just a certain crowd, like when elderly people or people of certain ranks or so you'll never see on there, like Second Life. And they're saying we're in the day and age now. This is becoming like a new Second Life. You're seeing so many factors on here. People are building, people are sitting on here. This is employment now. This is again, a lot of people come on here now for health factors. I know a lot of people sit here and get on there for like eye correction and everything. So you're seeing a lot of benefits from here. When I was saying that overwhelming factors, like just with the music game, you have the janky promoters, you have the janky. I feel like you were saying earlier with the customer service approach, or not this customer service approach, but when you have the certain people who really go like try to get help, like nowadays when we call Microsoft, we know we're not going to talk to somebody that's directly from Microsoft. It's going to be a third party. And I just hate the terms that when, and that only in terms like that because it's an overwhelming factor. We know we can't sit here and have all these problems, all go, through the United States and everything because phone lines will be up all day. It's a factor that we know that is all like a revolving cycle. But with technology, it's just so crazy to me because I'm like, hold on, we can't pinpoint right here, like, hey, we know somebody's going to ask this question. Just like we have like a daily fact and everything. We can sit there and have like that on every website and all that. Why can't we do that to certain properties when we know that this is something that is growing? But still, with it growing, it's just like somebody that uses a cell phone. Somebody's going to still ask, how do I turn it on? What do I do with it? Where do I put it? Do I put it in my microwave or my refrigerator? No, you do not put peanut butter in it. Like it's too many. Like it's the famous illusion because like people like if they don't know about it, they're not gonna want to learn about it. And then when they finally find out about it, they're gonna be scared about it. It's just like the famous society of doing with life. And you were saying earlier about with a society that's don't want to grow. Like I mean, I'm a comic book head. It brings me back to Brainiac. Brainiac, he says in one of his fights with Superman, people are not dumb. They let the items that they have around them make them dumb. And I sat there and I'm like, huh. That is like that didn't make sense to me till I got older. And I'm sitting there again, looking at my son with the phone. He's on the phone calling me, asking me where his phone at.
Yeah, no,
Like,
unfortunately, we call those in the tech world, we call those ID 10T problems, right? So if you write it down, it spells idiot. So whenever the text, and that's what it's all about, right? You're absolutely right. That's just it's a people call it late stage capitalism, and what's happening is that we're entering, and I think AI is going to really make that term mainstream, but and I don't have a name for it, but I guess the closest thing that I would call it is late stage knowledge base capitalism, which is there's so much understanding now, thought process for, as you mentioned, using devices like a mobile phone, like using a computer, and AI unfortunately can do remedial basic tasks that have been repeated for a very, very long time really well. Right, that's the foundation of AI. It's nothing better. It's nothing short of
what was the
word
famous book
correction.
series? For dummies, they used to call us the dummy
Exactly.
series.
Exactly. And that's what AI is being trained on, right? All of that old legacy of books of, learning computers for dummies. So the computers, because of AI and they're being fed all this new information, they unfortunately will get really, really good at, not answering the phone and teaching you how to, set up your phone or your computer. But at the same side of that same coin, or the other side of that same coin, or rather, it's there's going to be new forward-facing technologies like VR that if people are still figuring out what is the proper user navigation for, and now that companies are going to be experimenting with it, right? Quest 3 is a great example of that, right? Their whole entire home environment completely shifted after the Apple Vision Pro released, right? Now they're offering, um, multi applications and multitasking, and the home interface is starting to look vastly different than what it looked like a year ago, right? Which means that it's going to be very difficult to build these systems to teach you how to do AI, and that means that humans are going to be required to teach people how to use these devices. And that's what happens when you're ahead of the curve, right? You get to bring in value. Another thing that you mentioned is some people are not going to want to talk to an AI system for help, so that means that the human value is going to be worth a lot more. There's going to the realities are that banks and institutions are already talking about this. They're thinking about, okay, wait a minute, our 80-year-old multi-billionaire client that we cannot say no to wants to talk to a human. What do we do with them, right? So they're going to start creating premium value to human customer service, which means that basic jobs that require humans, that you are for sure and certain that AI can do really, really well. Um, if you're better than the AI system, you will get paid a lot, right? And that's that's what I think about quite a bit. It's really where my passion really lies in. It's really more about building that infrastructure and what it requires to get people to use these headsets as we're talking.
Mhm. And it shows that you can still have that door open, even if you're
Yeah.
scared to go through it. Hey, it's
Hmm.
still there. And
Exactly.
I mean, it's like with being the keymaster. I mean, and it brings me to like one of my final questions with you, because you were saying about with your
Yeah.
company, and especially to be yes, folks. Again, I say again, a CEO of a company that's it there. That's a claim. Do you feel like the factors of today value, like how you say with the AI components now, do you feel like do you have to implement that more now into a basic structure with your company now, or do you gonna still keep it with that human interaction, but they learning AI instead of having AI just adapt?
Um, I think that just whoever fearing technology is not in my DNA, let alone any of my employees, my executives, my entire team. We, we're starting from the top of the head with which starts with me. That's a saying that my dad instilled in me. Right, the law starts with the head of the household. Right, and I do not fear technology. I think AI has a lot of value in actually amplifying the human value when it comes to providing help. I don't think that we'll ever use it as an interfacer with clients. Yet again, I don't know what tomorrow looks like, but right now, we I think that if you take advantage of forward-facing technologies like, for example, large language models, internally at Reboot Imagine, we actually use every single troubleshooting situation or call
Excuse me.
or email, we log everything, right? If it's not in a ticket, it didn't happen, we're a fully accountability company, which means that all of those tickets and information and people asking for help gets fed into an AI system. So we're building internally I guess we'll call it like a knowledge-based AI assistant that's able to help our technicians. Like, for example, like, oh, you've seen this issue before. This is what you did last time, based on the call that you're getting right now. Um, or also creating automation for when we set up headsets at scale, right? The tools that we use, creating email accounts for Meta or provisioning them, installing them, setting them up. All the stuff can be automated, and taking advantage of AI is something that we are paying a lot of attention to and taking advantage of when it comes to that kind of stuff.
I gotta get this man PR. That was
I've been doing this for a while, bro.
that was my most complex. But no, let me stop. Let me stop. No, I love that's. I mean, that's the answer that we're supposed to hear, because without that and intuitive, I mean, not intuitive with it, but without that dimension around it, you will not have that circle of flame with it. And when I say that dimension around it, you have to look at certain core points, especially with a building factor of having a company with certain advancements like technology, certain infrastructure. Like you're gonna have things like sickness, stuff in the world that has effect to technology, because technology is just like cable. It still cannot withstand against certain elements. And I
Mhm.
feel like regardless of how we get to the point of how we would say keeping it to the fail safe, because we even get to the point now like, hey, if all these lights go out, we still have a computer somewhere that we're able to click a button. And that is just so like crazy to me, because I'm like, we have that right now, you feel me? But that's only going to run for a amount of time until either we can sit there and instill a different practice of still having those records, or still learning just but that's how history, that's how it's all a whole gumbo pot of like what I'm saying, like real life tethering, because it goes way beyond of just, hey, this is the factor that's sitting there. Because how you say it, you have technology, and somebody's either going to always learn about it, learn what did this technology do, or why was it here. And then if you don't have certain implements, like how you saying with, okay, hey, this is the ins and the outs of why this technology was here, this is the ins and outs what you could do with it, just like how you say like, oh, you don't have to worry about just, well, hey, why I'm putting my CD into the floppy disk. Sir, you have a laptop. We don't make floppy disks no more. Exactly. Like it's you're sitting there now, like the new generation, they look at a floppy disk, they don't know anything about it. And that's a scary factor, because if we have to get to point, like again, get back to a point like, hey, if we have to do an analog system, you can either revert to either learn to do it again, or you either revert and how they say about we become the down, I mean the Thondrels, and make us go like, hey, we're not caveman no more. And I really
Exactly.
see that, like, that's how circles are not like being disbanded, but that's how people are not learning no more, because we want to repeat instead of, hey, we could excel with this and still have it on the back burner. Just like we could still have DVDs and CDs and everything. That's why, yes, folks, I have my room stacked up with DVDs that are still not open, not just for no collector value, but this to show like, hey, this is something I have. My dad still have VHS, right? That
Yeah.
he's so proud to show. I mean, so it's certain elements that you really want to keep to show, like, hey, okay, hey, I used to have a flip phone that I had problems with, but if you press 9 with circle 8 on it, this gonna make it boot up, just like with a computer.
Mhm.
If you had this problem with your memory with this, or you do so and so, you can put this code in. It's factors that still stay there, but we get to a point now, somebody find our technology and everything 3,000 years from now, they're gonna sit there and look at, "Oh, must be something from Batman. They made it so hard that nobody can never learn about it." And brings us to my final question with you.
Yeah.
In this growing age of technology, do you feel like you're at a point of stopping with the growing of it, or are you just gonna be
Oh
along with the
man.
wave?
Oh man. I'm very ambitious. This, as I said, survival. Survival for me is building generational wealth. I
Mm,
feel that when it comes to when you think of technology, when you think of the IT game, not a lot of people look like me, and I really, I'm selfishly want to see that. I really want to put my name up there with the goats when it comes to talking technology, spatial computing. All of my role models, I unfortunately, I wish I could say that I have a role model that that I can identify with in multiple ways, but I don't. And I feel like there's a responsibility that I have to try to get up there, right there. I think
mm,
Eminem said that, right? Shoot for the moon, and if you miss, you're among the stars. I think it was,
yeah.
and that's what it is, right? I tell people all the time. It's like when they ask me what's my end goal, I tell them, I think that financially the most that anyone's made right now is like 1 trillion. So I'm gonna try to break that, and if not,
Yes.
how close can I get to 1 trillion? We'll see. I'm just getting started, bro.
No, I said to see that person in the mirror and somebody else. That's what goals are made of. That's what we do with this inspiration. And the first person that you see in the morning is yourself. So why not want to see that somewhere else, especially in a field that
Exactly.
you want to grow in? And I don't say that no way to be selfish, but I say that in a way of that's inspiration. You have to see yourself doing it to do it. And I mean that's the famous saying of pitting somebody else into your shoes or pitting into that factor, but to see somebody in the same shoes of, okay, they know
Yeah.
what I'm going through with this factor. This not
Exactly.
having to be of no, like with Nasha, it's about what you do in those shoes. But no, man, I thank you for what you do on this
Thank
platform,
you.
Jose, because man, to stay ambitious and to stay on that format, I know that can make the mind go crazy, make it go like Albert Einstein. I know there's so many ways, like there's so many properties that we could be with. So to really
Yeah.
stay on that implement factor and still having those cores showing like, hey, just because you don't want to learn about it, you will learn about it. Like if that may really make
Or
sense. And a lot of people don't understand. Just because you don't want to learn about it, you will learn about it. Just like we know we didn't want to do math, but we still know what 2 plus 2 is now. And
Mhm.
it's not fish. Okay, son. I'm telling you that now. But no, folks, I mean, I thank you so much for what you do on this, because without individuals like yourself, my man, we would not be able to have this technology reach beyond others and to still have it in the factor of helping build. Man, that's what innovators are all made of, man. And if the Howard Hour can help anyway with reboot, imagine. Yes, 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 man, let me know, let me know,
Always.
let me know. And man, again, I thank you for what you do on this platform. And before you leave, man, can you let everybody know where they can find out about more about your company and not even just that, but about yourself too?
Yeah, I'm Jose the VR Tech on all socials. I'm mostly on Twitter or X as they call it now, but you can find me on pretty much all socials. Jose the VR Tech. Company is called Reboot Imagine, reboot.imagine.com, and all socials Reboot Imagine. And definitely whatever Reboot Imagine can do. If you guys know any schools or businesses or anyone who's interested that you think that will be benefited from just having a conversation about maybe adopting VR. Like definitely, my channels are always open. As I mentioned, I'm very enthusiastic about this. So whatever I can do to help and share the love, I'm always here.
Man, folks, he is. He's always showing love to the VR community, VR content. If you really got stuff that's out there, man, he will share it. He really has it going beyond eyes and showing like, hey, this is what's going on in this technology, folks. And man, before I even have you leave the stage, do you have any words you could leave up here for anybody that just want to make their intention, not even just with technology, but anything that they just want to do?
Um, Relentlessly believe in yourself. It's something that I struggle with quite a bit, but you know, it's weird, right? You always find support in the weirdest of places. And one thing that I learned is people pay attention. I still have difficulty, you know, growing my channels of support, but I end up getting DMs of people who are very well known leaders in this industry who are paying attention to what I do. And that's what it's all about, is focus on who you influence and be relentless. I think that's on everything. That's probably the best words I can give.
Man, again, I need to get this man PR. That's like that. Hey, that's a T-shirt right there, folks. That's her. But no, man, I love to hear that because again, without having that mindset, without even having that, you would not be able to push that way beyond Belgium. And I can see why you have that company going up to high factors like that. And I can see why people speak really high favor of your name in this industry, my man, because how you saying the right people are watching. And that means if the right people are watching, that means all eyes are coming around too. And that means it's not secluded no more. It's supposed to be around, you feel me? And man, again. Thank you for what you do on this platform. Keep doing it, and keep building the way that you're doing.
Thank you.
Yes, man. May y'all throw some confetti in the air for the one, the only Mr. Jose, the VR Tech.
Thank you guys. All right. Thank you guys.
Yes, sir. You just exit right there with the globe. It's not gonna take you out of space. But yes, folks. In this space, man, it is amazing to grow. It is amazing too when you have individual that wants to see the longevity of it instead of just the right now. You don't have to be scared of growth. Just like when we was little and we wanted to sit there and be the tallest we can be, and now we're sitting here being 5'6". You feel me? I'm not talking about me, but we're still growing mentally. But no, man, when I say about it's not certain aspects you have to run away from. In order to survive, you have to adapt. To adapt, you have to learn. And to learn, you have to sit there and be open. We're in this format, folks. Technology is becoming a factor. It's everywhere. You have to go to McDonald's now and tell the drink machine what you want. You don't tell the person. And that's not a bad factor. I'm saying it's becoming to the factor. It's not just about computing just to the simple. Oh, this is just binary code. Technology is becoming, how Jose was saying earlier, spatial computing. It's all in your face. You have to touch it now. You have to be alert to it now. You have to be aware. And that's the only thing that AI and everything is not adapted to yet. It's not aware because it has to have the only thing like how we are, awareness. And that's what we do as humans. You have to be aware of what you learn. You have to be aware about what you're taking in, but also you have to be aware of what your potential is. And you could be the best, you could be whatever you want to do. You are aware of that. Nobody cannot tell you that. I'm living proof you can do that. Mr. Jose, hey, he's proof you could do that. Man, I see my man in the crowd, Mr. Danica. I see Mr. Avic Music. Hey, you stay true to a format, folks. You don't matter about whatever happens around it, as long as you're still withstanding like a flower that's growing. You see what happens in the weather. You go through the rain, you go through the sunshine, you go through the storm, but you still wither, you still grow, and you still show strength. And that all that matters in whatever field, whatever perception, and whatever you want to do. And hey, I say that every time to you folks. So up until next week, you know what I always say. This is your boy HT. How 702s get tripping like a kid untie his shoes. Thank y'all for rocking with me because I rock with you. I'll be saving you a seat, and you know that's something sweet. So hey, up until next time, I'll see y'all next week. Hey, much love, much love. Let's go. Spread love, not hate. Positivity is the way. HT.
Hi, I'm Jen Smash, and I'm here at VIP Entrepreneur Academy, where this is a world that you can learn how to start a business. For all you entrepreneurs who want to learn how to start a business, this is the ideal place to learn in the metaverse. This is a 9-week course where we go ahead and dissect every section of a business, from understanding your customer and industry to creating your budget for payroll and even taxes. We break down what is the requirements for you to have a successful business. So if you're ready to become an entrepreneur and want to learn the ropes, VIP Entrepreneur is ready to take in new students just like you. You can contact me at VIPentrepreneur Academy@gmail.com. See you at the next class.